Hello, my name's Glossy Pigeon and welcome to my Minecraft Bedrock commands tutorial series. In this episode we're going to be going over the /structure command. With the /structure command we can save structures and place them elsewhere in the world. Not only can we do that, we can actually save entities such as special items and spawn them on top of players. Well, there's no time like the present, so let's get started. The first variation, the /structure command, is save. Save allows us to save our structures with specific names so that we can spawn them later. We start our command with /structure and then space and save. We then enter the name we want to have for our structure to recall later. In this situation, I've chosen test1. We'll then need two sets of coordinates. The first set is our first point of the structure we want to save. With our second set of coordinates, this creates an invisible box, and anything in between these two sets of coordinates will be saved under our structure name. We then have two optional extras that we can include in this structure command. The first of which is true or false, and this decides whether we want to save the entities within our structure or not. As default, if you don't enter it, it will choose true. Today we're choosing true because later in the video we're going to need those entities. And then finally, you can decide whether you want to save the structure to the disk or memory. The difference between disk and memory is with disk, it will actually save the structure to your world. This way, when you leave the world and come back, you'll still be able to load this structure. However, with memory, it is temporary, so that means if you unload the world, you'd have to save it again when you come back to be able to load it again. When I now press this button activating the command, it looks like nothing has happened at all. However, if we look inside the command block, we can now see that there is a structure saved under the name mystructure:test1. Next up, we have the load variant of the /structure command. This is where things get more interesting, as this allows us to load in our structures that we've just saved, but we get to play a little bit because it's not just one for one. We can do various things to modify those structures. We once again start with /structure. We then enter load and then the name of our structure. Bear in mind, when we saved it before, it put the prefix of mystructure: before the name that we entered, so the name of the structure is actually mystructure:test1. We then enter our coordinates. As ever in Minecraft Bedrock, when we're doing commands with coordinates, we can use hard coordinates or relative coordinates. This is the most basic version of the load variation, so when I press the button, it spawns in a carbon copy of what we saved before. We can also vary how we load in the structure, such as with rotational values, which comes next in our command if we choose to. These can appear as 0_degrees for no rotation. This is what the game chooses as standard. However, if we want to use any of the other variants that are to come, we do need to enter this first. 90_degrees. This rotates our structure 90 degrees clockwise. 180_degrees to rotate it all the way around to face the opposite direction, or 270_degrees to rotate it 270 degrees clockwise, or 90 degrees counterclockwise, depending how you're looking at it. For this example, we're going to use 180 degrees to rotate it all the way around, so that when I press this button, we can see that our entities are actually on the opposite side. You'll see that our jigsaw piece in the middle is pointing that direction, whereas on our original structure is pointing that direction. It literally does a perfect 180-degree rotation of our structure. Our next variable that we can include is our mirror value. This mirrors our structure, and there are 4 different variations we can include. The first being none. This causes the structure to not be mirrored at all. Next is X. This mirrors our structure on the X-axis, Z to mirror on the Z-axis, and both X and Z to mirror on both the X and Z axis. In this example, we're only going to mirror on the X-axis. So now that I can press this button, and we can see whilst it's been rotated 180 degrees, it has also mirrored on the X-axis. You'll notice that the center block has been mirrored back. However, we have flipped it so that the cow is on the right, as it is in our 180 degree rotation. However, the bee and the chicken are on the opposite sides like they are in the original. There are then two different variables that we can choose from. This is whether we're going to load in our entities or the animation type. I'll show you the animation type in a moment because that's a little bit more complicated, and we'll start with the entities. There are two options that we can enter. Those are either true. True is what the game assumes anyway, where it will always load in the entities, or false, where it will load our structure but none of the entities will be loaded, which you'll note when I press this button that our structure is loaded, but none of the entities such as the mobs or their leads are actually spawned in. Everything else about the structure is the exact same though. Instead of choosing whether we want to load the entities in or out, we can then do the animation type. As standard, the game just spawns the structure in one structure. However, there are two different variables we can do, and those are layer underscore by underscore layer, which loads in the structure from bottom to top, layer by layer, one at a time. The other is block underscore by underscore block, which unsurprisingly loads the structure in block by block from bottom to top. For our example today, we'll be using the layer by layer variation, and then we enter how long we want that to take in seconds to load. This will mean that when I press this button, it'll take a total of 5 seconds to load our structure from bottom to top. You'll also notice that the entity spawned in at the end of the loading animation. Conversely, if we do it block by block, you'll notice that it loads in one block at a time. With the animation types, we can also end it with true or false to decide whether we want our entities to load or not. The final variation of the structure command that we need to know is how to delete that saved file. That's as simple as /structure, delete, and then the name of our structure. And now that is completely removed from my game. If I run this structure load command for the structure we've used so many times before in this video, you'll see that there's no structure with that name. The /structure command can actually be used to tackle one of the downsides of Minecraft Bedrock. In Minecraft Bedrock, we can't summon in items that are enchanted because we can't affect the MBT data. However, we can achieve something similar by using the structure command. Inside this command block, I have a save structure command for exactly on top of the command block. If I place the sword on top and save that space, and then in this command block, I have a load structure for directly above it, I can press that and the exact same sword appears. By using this, we can therefore summon in items that are enchanted. I hope from this video you can see how powerful the structure command can be, and that's all that you need to know about it for now. If you got any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. But until next time, take care and may your picks never break. Whoop.